Hey everyone, I'm Marty Mariner and welcome to Beyond the Yellow. G'day everyone, welcome to Beyond the Yellow, and what an interesting week it has been since we spoke last. The World Cup has kicked on in earnest. I think everyone has played their first games now, I'm pretty sure, and been some very interesting results. And make sure you stick around to the second part of the show today, where I'm joined by a couple of legends in Cody O'Dager and Mel Muscat, who are going to talk through that first week, some of the results, some of the standouts, maybe some of the misses. And I'm sure we'll focus on a team called the Socceroos and a team called England, the Three Lions as well. So both had fantastic results in their first games, but we will get to that very, very soon. Now, you would have noticed in my Facebook post, I think I put it on Instagram too. Look, let's talk a little bit of Central Coast Mariners. Let's talk the good, the bad, and maybe the not so pretty. Plenty of rumours, noise. Not too much coming out from the club, although we did get something today. We'll touch on that very, very soon. And I just thought, look, I'll let you know I can't say what I know, what I've heard, what's been spoken about, what bits and pieces have been around, because everyone sort of, will message and say, hey, what's going on with the club? And, and I get it. I really do get it, because, when we don't get any information at all and it's silent, sometimes it gets a little bit scary. And I totally get that. And I don't work for the club. I know there's people there behind the scenes who are doing a fair bit of stuff, but I get it. It is really hard. And the more the silence goes on, the more the rumors, the more I heard this and I heard that. And yeah, let me tell you, I've heard some really weird and wonderful things coming out of, around the club, people around the club who've heard this, heard that. So I thought, you know what, rather than, answering everyone's questions and what do you think of this and stuff, let's just put it on the pod. So let's talk a little bit of Central Coast Mariners, the good, the bad, and maybe the not so pretty. Okay, so let's talk some Central Coast Mariners. And I know a number of you have messaged and asked questions and, what's happening with this and what do you know? And as I put in my my Facebook post, I think there's some good, I think there's some bad, and I think there's some maybe not so pretty. And so let's put it all in the pod today, so everyone can sort of hear my thoughts and my opinions. And I stress, these are my thoughts and my opinions. These are based off things that I've heard, conversations. This is not coming from the club. This is not a club directive to say, hey, put this on your show. They have never done that. And I'm sure if they did say that to me, there wouldn't be a show. I very much pride myself on this is what I think and getting people on to tell me about what they think. And that's entirely what we're all about. So, these are just my thoughts. I'm putting 2 and 2 together. Maybe I get 7. Maths has never been my strong point. But I want to work through a few things and just a few thoughts that are going through my head, just with the current situation at the Central Coast Mariners. Now, as I said, communication sometimes, it's been periods of nothingness. And that's always scary. I think that's a scary thing. And I'm guessing in a business changeover kind of perspective, we know that, we're not running our own race at the moment. So you've got the existing, the current, the babysitters, if you like, and the next tenants, if you like. So there's going to be changes over there. There'll be new staff coming through who I believe have, I think they've pretty much started as of recording, but there'll be time taken, and it's gonna take a bit of time. We want to get this right. The last thing we want to be able to do is see the Mariners come in and it's just an absolute mess. No one knows what's going on. We want to start with a bang, don't we? We want to be able to, get into this thing and say, right, the Mariners are back, the future is secure, let's get on with it, and we move forward. Not 3 months down the track or 6 months, although this is not right or this isn't working out. I do know some of the people that are around the place, and I know how hard they are working. And, people can only do so much. The Mariners have never been fully blessed with thousands of staff. People have worked there for many, many years, putting in many, many of their own hours. I don't think that has changed, even though we're in caretaker hands at the moment. But look, It will happen. It will, start trundling out there. There's been some communication today, which I'll talk about very soon. So, look, I'm not the one who's going to tell you to be patient because I fully understand. I'm on board with you there. But I can say that the wheels are turning. A bit like when I'm thinking sometimes. The wheels are turning, not necessarily as quick as they should be, but the cogs are turning as we go. Look, we know about the ownership. There'll be a Central Coast Mariners club next year. It's all been happening. As everyone has pretty much already said, QPR are in the picture there. I'm not going to go into the fine details of ownership because I don't know every single bit about it, and I don't want to say something that is wrong and say, oh no, that's not the case. But we know that there's a new owner coming in, and we know QPR are the major force behind that. That makes me happy because we're going to have a Central Coast Mariners club. The A-League itself, the community itself, wouldn't function as well if we don't have a Central Coast Mariners. We are an integral part of this competition. We are, the little train that could. We've climbed many hills. We've batted outside of our depth. We've, many a time have performed well above our weight division in the league. And we've had our peaks, we've had our troughs as well, but we've fought and we've managed to stick around and be very successful. And there are clubs in the A-League who would love to have had the trophy cabinet that we currently have. And the club would the A-League would be a worse place without the Central Coast Mariners. The Central Coast would be a worse place without the Central Coast Mariners. We're the only national team that represents the Central Coast. And you guys have been there. Yeah, I know. We've been there when there's barely been anyone there. I've made that point many a time. Sat there in a few men's games where not only did I have a seat to myself, a row to myself, I've had pretty much a whole bay to myself. I almost went around to get a beer and the guy was glad to see me because he hadn't seen anyone for 10, 15 minutes. We've been there. You guys have been there. You know who you are. And we've also been there where you can't get a seat. Grand final, Melbourne victory. Can you remember that night? Remember how good that was? Semi-finals, Sydney, Newcastle, when Western Sydney Wanderers come walking over the hill and pack the joint. Atmosphere plus, we've been there for them, So we've had our peaks. Yes, we've had our troughs. But to me, we've got to make sure things are right because if we're not in that competition, the competition ain't going to be right. So, look, for me, it's with the takeover. There's a couple of things that are really standing out for me. One is, yes, I'm glad that we are there. That is the major thing, right? But secondly, I do have a concern, and it's only my concern, that when you get a foreign team or a team that's from overseas that comes in and fundamentally invests in a club, a smaller club than what they are, do you then become a training facility, or almost like it's another academy for their own club? As in, we'll bring these young fellas in and we'll give them a bit of a run in good competition. And if they're going well, we'll take them back. Or we might be able to sell them for a few dollars. We need a Central Coast Mariners team that's going to compete. Now, I'm not saying the two things can't be correct because they can be. You can get a young side with some good experience around them, some good players. And I know we've got, we'll talk about player departures in a second, but I know that there are some good players at this football club. And if players come in, they gel, good things can happen. Look what Warren Moon did last year. That influx of players that came in, it just lifted that whole squad. And you imagine if that had stayed together and we'd have just added a few more, we'd be top six for sure in my view. So, look, as long as we're not an investment to manufacture players, then I'm all in because we need a competitive team. We need a team that's going to be able to go out there. It's not fair on the other players in the team if we're not investing. It's not fair on the coach. It's not fair on the members. It's not cheap to be a member of any club at the moment, especially not to be a member of the Central Coast Mariners. We're not there to watch a training academy. We're not there to watch a young fella see how he goes in the leagues. We've seen players come over from different clubs before, and it just has not worked at all. This needs to be the Central Coast Mariners in their own right, developed, working hard, competing with the best in the league, and looking for semi-final football, looking to win things, and that's where we need to be. So if that's the modus operandi of the new owners, I'm all in. But I'm always wary. We'll see how that goes when it comes to signings, re-signings, and stuff like that. We'll see how this squad shapes up. Now, speaking of which, let's just have a bit of a look, because there was a post that came out from the club today to thank a number of players who've moved on, 10 in total. Nathan Paul has already announced, I think it was last week that he announced, he'll be sorely missed. Nathan Paul is an absolute gem of a bloke. And I know I'm preaching to the converted, right? You know, when these guys walk around the outside, the time they take to talk to you, the kids, everybody, right? It's something I'm just so proud that our club has done over the years, and it's generic. It has never been forced upon them. It's never been told they have to do it, but they do it. And I've been to other games where other clubs have just gone over and waved and off they go. I've seen Mariners players out there an hour and a half after the game, signing, getting photos. It's just incredible. It's the appreciation they have for the Central Coast. They got it. They understood that the community is so strong behind them, and they need the community behind them. So, you know, Nathan Paul was someone, when I had the 12-hour podcast for the Cancer Council for the Stars of the Central Coast thing that I did, I said, mate, would you happen to have a shirt? You know, and straight away, bang, yeah, here you go, mate. Appreciate it. Just such a top bloke. Lovely family as well. He will be greatly missed, and I'm going to definitely keep an eye on that guy wherever he goes, which just happens to be down the road to MacArthur. I've already told him I want need some Panadol for all those cowbells, and sorry, mate, I might have to give him a bit of curry if he comes down and plays at Gosford. But look, he's an absolute top fella. I think we're going to miss him a fair bit. Yeah, one of the top guys. Miguel DePizio, exactly the same. I wanted him on a podcast last year, and we got we got him on, and he was just great to chat to. And you know, you can just tell when you talk to players about their ambitions and what they want to do, and he has that. And you know, injury hasn't been kind, but yeah, he's a top player. And if he develops somewhere else, I'll always wish players luck when they move on. If they've given us their service and they've given it everything, and they're going to apply their trade elsewhere, they'll be all good in my book. And yeah, it won't be for us, but maybe one day he'll come back. But I know when I surprised him with Max Ballard on the podcast end of last year, it was awesome, because I know how well those guys gone on, and I'm sure he appreciated that too. So all the best with him. So with Christian Theoharis, what a player that divided the crowd. He was either a lover or a hater of Christian Theoharis, but no doubt, absolute ball skill and a baller. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with Christian. James Donachie, I'm actually surprised he's moving. Cement in the middle of the defence there. Yeah, interesting one that. But again, people make decisions. We'll talk about that in a sec too. But he's moved on. Sabat Noor became a bit of a super sub there at the end, coming on and scoring some vital goals in some big games. Absolutely wishing him all the best. Nathaniel Blair, who came over from Perth, speed to burn, that guy. Be interesting to see where his next move will be. It'll be, I think it's a shame. There's some talent there. There's absolutely some talent there. Will Kennedy as well, definitely put that in the same bracket. Again, sort of in and out, and didn't quite get the minutes I'm sure he would have wanted through various reasons. But again, one to keep an eye on. Our good old Japanese friend, who let me say is probably most known for hitting our scoreboard and breaking one of the tiles, which is probably not the greatest memory that he would want to have of the Mariners, but it's quite funny on the day. So all the best to Kato, and to Logan, and to Seth as well. So look, there's been some announcements made. The club has moved these out, which then brings a question up for me: who made that decision? As far as I'm aware, last I checked and last time I had conversations with some people, yes, the list of coaches was pretty much reducing down in numbers, which is great. A couple of candidates in particular, I think, we're getting close to, may well have been appointed by now. Maybe they came in this last day or so and they've made these decisions. I don't know. Matty Simon definitely got his finger on the pulse when it comes to these contracts and stuff, right? So obviously he must know a bit about who was not going to be re-signed and thoughts behind it. You'd think the coach would be there for that. If not, if the coach isn't there, does that then give us an indication that there's a whole heap of players that they already know are coming in, maybe from overseas, who are going to take some spots? I don't know. Again, I could be putting 101 together and getting 96 here. And that could be one thing. It could also be that we've spoken to a number of players in the A-League. A lot of movement in the A-League. A number of players moving on from clubs. Have we picked up some bargains along the way? Have we still been able to negotiate? Obviously, the owners have been having a say, and things have been playing out. Maybe we've already picked up some players and gone, right, well, we can start having a bit of a transformation here as well. I don't know. It'll remain to be seen. But I just hope that with the talent, because there is some definite talent in that list, that we're then moving on, and again, wishing them all the best, that we've got some quality lined up for them in the future. So interesting. Great that the club put it out, and they then put a further post out regarding Nathan, Miguel, and also Christian for their time at the club, which I thought was a nice touch for the club to do so. So, look, communication coming out, which is great. That's what we want to see, but probably not the news that we wanted to hear. So, look, on the men's side of things, interesting. I'm going to guess that over the next few days, we're going to hear a bit more about ownership, and I think we're going to hear more about a coach, because then I think we will start to hear some talk of players. I definitely think this next 7 days, between now and the end of July, I think we're going to get a fair bit of news that's going to come through. I think cogs are turning, as I said previously, and I think I think enough is known now to be able to start going, right, this is this, because once you start putting stuff out, obviously the questions come back and you want to be prepared for that, and that leads on to this. So it's getting all your ducks in a row. Is that the same? I'm pretty sure that's the same. Getting all your ducks in a row. Now, the second part, this is not the good, the bad, but it might be the not so pretty. Not so sure about this one, but I know when QPR first came around, there was talk about the women's side of things, the women's squad. Now, I am self-appointed, one of, I love our women's team. The inaugural season that we had, it was just such a, even though the guys are traveling well, but was a breath of fresh air that we had our women's team out there. Some of the players that we saw come to the club, some of which are still here, the Annabelle Martins, the Izzy Gomez, the Sarah Langmans, people who, were so endearing to the fans, and it was just something that was, and it was great seeing our Mariners women out there playing. Second season, Emily Husband guides them to a grand final win. Think about that. The second season of this thing guides them to a win. That will be one of my greatest Mariners nights ever. And I've been to grand finals for the men's, and I've been to many a semi-final and at industry group, and I've been to a number of different things. But that night in Melbourne, that result, that atmosphere, the tears, I saw so many people, and I was one, just to clarify, so many people in tears about the result. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I shall never forget that night. I think Corey did a decent job last year. When you think about suspensions, injuries, and different things, I actually think, and the changeover that he had, massive changes over. I think Corey did a pretty decent job in the role, and I, would hope that would be the case again moving forward. But as I said at the start, before I totally sidetracked myself, QPR didn't seem that keen first time round about a ladies team. I hope that has changed. I'm a bit worried about a few bits and pieces that maybe that hasn't. Again, me putting 2 and 2 together and maybe getting 43. I would love things to be a little bit more concrete in that sort of area. And I'm sure the news will come out and it'll hopefully put my mind at ease and our mind at ease that everything will be okay. But I just, when you get that nagging feeling like, I just hope this is going to be okay. Well, I'm just hoping this will be okay. Look, you think about our women's squad. Annalise Rasmussen is overplaying for Juventus. She scored for them. I mean, she's back in the country now. How great is that? I mean, I still get to watch her online and stuff. She's playing for Juventus. There will be other players that will be playing in Europe next season. We'll probably hear about that soon too, I would imagine. We have some talent in this squad, and we need to have a little bit of, and maybe they've been told internally, but by the sound of it, I'm not sure everyone has, but look, you just need to get some traction in there. There's nothing worse than a player, and this was a conversation I had with a player, and it was at the end of last year, not the end of this year, who spoke about certainty, just the unknown of being a professional footballer or a part-time footballer, or, you know, people who are, yeah, they play, but then they have to work, and, you know, especially in our women's team, the uncertainty is just incredible, because then when you think about injuries and missing work, it's a crazy old thing, right? So, you know, certainty is one of those big things that you hope we can give these players, and maybe they have. Maybe by now they've come out and said, "Yep, this is this, whatever." I don't know what assurances they've been given, but I sincerely hope, from the bottom of my heart, because I will be absolutely filthy if anything happens to our women's team, because I think the work that has been done, we have members who I know are here for our women's team. We have people who are involved with the club because they just love our women's team. At the end of those women, I talked about before, the players going around at the end of the posters, pictures, the girls love it. You know, I'm fortunate to get to speak to them, and they love it. You know, they take photos themselves, and they're just so blown away by sometimes the crowd reactions to different things, and the fans that are there. It's awesome. And we can't lose that, because that is the magic of the Central Coast Mariners. That is what creates our community. Those young people grow up and they want to play for our men's team, but some now want to play for our girls' team. They want to represent the Mariners women. The work that was put in over the last couple of years hasn't been put in to stop. And again, I hope I'm barking up the wrong tree. I hope someone's going to come out now and say, "Martin, don't be a goose." Wouldn't be the first time. And would say, "Yeah, there's going to be a women's team. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Corey's in charge. Got this. And we are all sweet." I don't know. I'm hoping that is the case. Let's just wait and see. But I just want to put it out there that, for me personally, a little bit of a concern. I don't know. Maybe, again, I haven't looked in the right places. Maybe. Who knows? We'll just see. But, yep, expect some news. I think there'll be, again, some player changeover. And, well, I think, you know, Europe may well be the beneficiary of that. And as I said, for the men's, if there's our players are playing over there in Europe and they're doing an awesome job, I'm going to be following them. I think it's great. You know, when you think about, you know, just you think about players who've pulled on the shirt for the Mariners who are now playing for Juventus. I mean, let that sink in for a second, you know, and we have other players doing it, obviously, but, you know, how can you begrudge someone to have that opportunity? And they've come through our own nursery. Annalise was the first Mariners player signed for the women's team. And to go from that, a local junior, to now doing it's just the best story. And if they've come in and they've put in for a couple of seasons and they take off and they go do something else, I'm 100% behind them. She won't be the last. I guarantee you that. She won't be the last. But whatever squad there is, I just want a women's team out there, because I know they're going to give it everything. I know they're going to give it a crack. And, yeah, let's just hope. Fingers crossed. My toes are crossed too. Just have to trust me on that one, that we get some news on that one very, very shortly as well. Look, I think in general, in wrapping up, in concluding, Your Honour, there's going to be a Mariners club. New people are coming, investment, there'll be staff. It's all happening. So for those who are worried that we're not going to have a Mariners club next year, you don't have to worry about that. That is all happening. For those who are worried now because they've seen a list of players who are departing the scene, don't. It's okay, because there will be players coming. Now, I don't know who. You hear little words of some players from the A-League who are interested, who might be coming, and I guess that'll be okay. But let's not even speculate about that just yet. Others may. I just want to see how the functionality of this thing goes first. Let's just take it one step at a time. We will field a team. I have seen in the Facebook comments, you guys are funny about, I think it was under 8 teams, and someone from was it you, Mr. Eggleton, about the over 35s or something still knocking in goals? Mate, keep those boots shining. Pull those socks up, son. You never know. You're like in a big city. But no one's going to come in and invest in a club and then say, "Oh, sorry, we've forfeited. We've only got 7 players." There will be players there. And I'm going to throw this out nice and early too, that even if it might be some young kids coming in to have a crack, that we might go, never heard of him. Let's support him. Because I don't know about you guys, but I also support Tottenham Hotspur. And that was on it. And this year we almost got relegated. It came down to the last game of the season. And the sick feeling that I had every now and then in my stomach that my side was going to drop to the championship, can't tell you how bad that was. Now, we stayed in the Premier League. Hallelujah. We'll live to fight another day. But that's what this thing does to you, right? And, you know, we've done it with the Mariners too. We've sat there when there's been no one there. We're losing. It's wooden spoons. It's just crazy times, right? We know what it feels like. But knowing that it might not have been there, that maybe an owner wasn't going to come in and we might not have had a club, that would be the absolute worst. So whatever 11 get out there to start that first men's game, and everything is hoping that for the first women's game as well, let's give them everything we've got. I get it. I totally understand it when I talk about memberships and staying behind the team. You're there for the club, and the more we're there, the more we're cheering, the more it resonates with the players that this is something worth fighting for. Sure, a player might come to the club and never have heard of us before. What the hell are those palm trees and giant sauce bottles doing at the end of the ground? What is going on? I've heard players say that. We've had plenty of interviews on the Marty Mariner show with players who, you know, I talked to about palm trees and sauce bottles, and they're like, I'd heard a little bit about it, but wow, I didn't realise this, because it's, you know, the central coast of New South Wales, and they've come from overseas and different things. But when they hear that the fans are so passionate and getting behind them, it helps them as well. We have to play our part, because if a new owner comes in and we go whatever and disappear, well, do you think the club's going to stick around? And then we're just going to be fighting again just to, you know, be in the league. We all need to play our part in this. We all need to get behind it. However, whichever way it goes, when it comes to new players coming to the club, existing players re-signing, people coming from different places, we just need to get behind it and give it a crack, because that's what we do well when we're all on that same page. So, look, let's keep our fingers crossed that we get some news. As I said, I'm going to say that definitely in this next week, before the end of the month, I think we'll learn a lot more about the on and off business of the club. I dare say, coaching-wise, we will hear a lot about that, particularly maybe, does that make sense? Probably not. In this next week, I would suggest that would probably come forward. Now that we're definitely talking about players that have gone, we want to be able to see the coach come in and say, yes, but this is the good stuff. Who's coming back? And hopefully we get some more traction and some news when it comes to our ladies team too. If anyone from the club, if it happens to be that they're happy to be watching this or listening to this and they're around a boardroom and they're just debating whether is there any doubt about a women's team this year? There is no doubt about a women's team. You have to have it. It is an integral part of this club. And you can't take the heart out of a body and expect it to keep on living. And I think that would be the case with a women's team. I just think they bring so much to the club. Maybe others will disagree with that. I think they've been a breath of fresh air, and I think that, we can't do without them. Anyway, that is my little rant. Little rant, as he says. He looks at the clock. Let's move on now to the World Game, and, let's catch up with Mel and Cody, and let's talk a little bit of World Cup 2026.
Welcome to Beyond the Yellow.
Yeah, welcome back to Beyond the Yellow. And I thought I'd get a couple of geezers in to talk a bit of the World Cup. You know what I mean? It's going on at the moment, and there's been a couple of really good results. And I thought, let's get a few of the fellas, the girls together and have a bit of a chat, a bit of a chinwag, a bit of a conversation. I'm going to have to stop there because I can't keep talking like that. I'm confusing myself with what I'm going to say next. How bad is all that? First of all, what a distinguished, technologically advanced panel we have. That'll make a lot of sense to us. Absolutely nothing for you. Mel, how you doing, mate?
I'm well, thank you. How you going, Marty?
I'm going great, mate. I'm going great. What have you been up to lately? Is it quieter now that the soccer season, is it still on fire for you? What's going on?
You know what? I have had a chance to breathe, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
breathing's good.
Yes, especially because I follow both codes and they overlap. So now there's a little bit of breathing space. But in saying that, waking up early for the World Cup, and you're going to hate me, but this morning I woke up and I fell asleep before Marcus Rashford scored his goal, so I missed it.
Well, it's been nice having you on the show, Mel. We'll see you later. That's fine.
Everybody knows how much I love sport, but there's one thing that I love a little bit more, and that's my sleep.
I thought you'd say Marcus Rashford. But anyway, that's fine. And a A nice shirt you're wearing too.
Thank you. And look, I'm going to say that I'm pleased that you opened up with that English accent, because otherwise, not too impressed that you're wearing that today, Marty. I'm all for second teams, but come on, not while our Australia is still in it.
It's coming home, baby. I was born there. What do you expect? I was born in the place, mate. What do you just got to happen. Anyway, moving on. Cody, speaking of shirts, this guy, the common football fan, it's a bad name, mate. I've said to you before because there's nothing common about you. What have you been up to lately?
I appreciate that. No, life's been pretty busy. I've done my first year of Football New South Wales commentary, so a lot of my time's been directed out that way between that, doing the social media work for them. Yeah, it's kept me busy, which is both good and actually I'm not even gonna say bad. It's good. It's kind of busy. It's kind of busy you want to be, I guess. I've got to say, Marty, for someone who was born and raised in England, terrible English accent.
It was. Sorry, Mum.
Yeah, it's not that's almost a mockery of your ancestors, but you know what? Considering we're all Australians, I kind of like the fact that it was like that.
Look, it's good for the ratings, mate. It's good for the ratings. Now, speaking of shirts, let me guess. That looks like a Haiti shirt to me.
Haiti, yes. Should probably clarify, not Haitian by any means whatsoever.
Okay.
I got this during the 2023 Women's World Cup. I was at Tumbalong for, I think it was the first weekend that the World Cup was on. Okay. Watched 3 matches back to back. Can't remember what the first one was. I believe it was Japan-Zambia. The second game was England-Haiti. And, classic Australian trope, root for the underdog. Sorry, Marty. I was backing against your English girls.
You started so well, mate. You started so well. Yeah. You bagged me out about my accent, and now you've gone against my team. I'm going to kick you both off in a sec. What's going on here?
You're doing this on your own too, mate. But honestly, England played well. Haiti, they had one player in midfield by the name of Melchi Dumone, and she made me fall in love with the country. So since then, Haiti's kind of like a third or fourth team behind, Australia, then Spain, Scotland as my background, and Haiti, who was playing Scotland as well and put up a good fight.
Go figure. We might even touch on that a little bit later too. But good to have you guys on board. Thanks for joining me for the World Cup show. We're we've about a week into it now. I think everyone's played their first game now. I think everyone's pretty much kicked off, which is great. And it kind of leads me to my first question, because it was a conversation I've had before. Mel, I'm going to kick off with you. Does the World Cup have too many teams in it now?
If you asked me that question 8 hours ago, I would have hell-bent said, yes, absolutely, what's going on. Right. But look, yes, to me, I think my issue is going from 32 to 48. Yep. I think if we're going to do that, I think increase it slowly.
Yep.
48 maybe is a bit much. I think it takes the shine off it a little bit. And my argument is, I personally believe, and I've been saying this for years, that the World Cup should take place every 2 years, not 4. It's too long to wait. And then people will say to me, but then it doesn't make it a special or exclusive. But, I mean, if you're letting every Tom, Dick and Harry in, right, so it takes the shine off that as well. Sure. But in saying that, from what we saw this morning, what we saw against Spain, like those smaller countries are really creating some magic, aren't they? No. And so I think to myself, well, all right, maybe we have a few too many teams at 48, but it does allow those smaller countries to shine. And, it does. It makes the World Cup a little bit special, I think, to see all those good news stories. Who was the opponent against Spain? What country was it?
Cabo Verde.
Yeah.
Okay.
That goalkeeper, just the stories that are coming out of it. I'm like, okay, I'm warming to the idea, but 48 teams, maybe a little bit too many.
And I'm trying to finish off my Panini sticker book, and it's costing. I'm going to have to sell the house to get enough stickers to fill it, because it's like the encyclopedia. It's just crazy. Cody, I'll ask you the same question, mate. Are there too many teams in it? What's your thoughts? Because I'm the same. I love the little underdoggy. We talked about Haiti before, right? Never seen them play before, seen the World Cup, but is the World Cup the stage for it?
See, I'm actually the complete opposite. I love it. It's
right.
I remember when it was first announced. I think it was somewhere in it was just before 2018, actually. Mm-hmm. I believe that's when they first announced that it was going to be 48 teams.
Yep.
And I remember thinking the same thing of, okay, it's going from 18 extra 16 teams. Although when you think about it as well, it's the same percentage increase as when they went from 24 to 32, 50% increase. Correct. But I I remember thinking at the time, okay, yeah, it's a bit drastic. If you're going to increase, maybe go to 40, kind of find a nice little middle ground.
Yeah.
That was the World Cup that we saw Italy, Holland, Chile, USA all miss out. And suddenly you start asking the question, okay, if we're at a point where you're running the risk consistently of big teams missing out, is that the argument for expansion there?
Yeah.
The last thing that I would have wanted to see from this World Cup would be those smaller teams that people are using as, okay, why is the World Cup 48 teams when you're just going to allow a nation like Haiti or Cape Verde in? And the only one that's really been disappointing so far is Curaçao. But you look at Curaçao as well, they had the best record in CONCACAF qualifying. If it was still a 32-team tournament, technically they're probably the one that would have made it, although if their qualifying format was different, maybe it's a different story. It's not necessarily a matter of there's too many teams. I think a lot of confederations have really poor qualifying methods, so you don't always necessarily get the best teams. We're in a position now where a 48-team World Cup, and we still got Italy, Denmark, Costa Rica, nations that you're used to having there, still struggling to qualify.
Yep.
So I think between that and the fact that a lot of nations like Qatar have stepped up really well, Iraq were doing well up until a certain point, of course. Cabo Verde, absolutely fantastic. Curaçao is the only one that's probably been a bit of a letdown. Yep. And other than that, the only other side that's been quite poor was Tunisia. But they're a regular at the World Cup, and they move swiftly on that result, and they sacked their coach after one game of a major tournament, which doesn't happen very often. So I think there's enough from this tournament so far to say that to justify the increase. I understand the arguments against it, but I love watching a lot of island nations. I love watching sides like Uzbekistan. Aboshbek, I think that's his first name, Faizullayev, who scored against Colombia this morning. Absolute baller. Love to see him on a stage, although Uzbekistan probably could have qualified for a World Cup even with 32 teams. There's a lot of good to come out of it, and I think overall it's going to be a positive. For me, the final evolution of the World Cup is 64 teams, but I think you're about 30 to 40 years away from that being capable.
Maybe we go to 120, so the small countries like Italy might be able to make it. How good's that? Sorry to all my Italian friends out there, but I had to get that one in while we're talking numbers.
Well, my first thought, when I saw, it's funny, Cody, when did you say it was announced? 2018?
18, yeah.
2017 or 2018, yeah.
Okay, well, I just realized last week, so I don't know where I've been living, but anyway. But
there was a lot of things that I was doing when I should have been doing my schoolwork that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, my first thought with 48 teams was, and Italy still couldn't make it. Yeah, sorry, Italian friends.
That was the first thing I thought when Italy didn't make it.
They've all switched off after my comment. Don't worry about it. They're done. Actually, that does leave me. Mel, keep going with this one because we're now in 3 countries. My view is I'm all about the country that hosts it. Get everyone there. I know it's stadiums, and obviously the more teams, you need more stadiums and stuff like that. But to me, having it over 3 different countries, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan. What's your thought?
I'm okay with that. At first, I had an issue when it was announced that Australia would host the World Cup, Women's World Cup with New Zealand. I'm like, we got the short straw. Why is it us that has to share? It's usually, that's not done. It's in one country. But, experiencing the Women's World Cup like I did, I went to a pre-tournament. I think I had 2 tickets for 2 Matildas games. Nice. I still ended up getting to 8 games. I got to see Colombia, Netherlands, England, so many wonderful countries. So I think that there is enough love to share around. And we say 3 countries, but they're, pretty close proximity. And with the 48 teams now, I think it's okay. I don't have too much of an issue with that because I experienced the World Cup in 2 countries for the women's and I thought it worked fine.
I don't know. To me, Mexico 70, Italia 90, it kind of gave it that thing. And now it's like half the world. Now they just call it FIFA 2026 because it's just like can't put it in one. Cody, what's your thought?
Yeah, look, probably along the same wavelength of Mel where it's okay. I don't know if I want it to be like a regular thing where it's got to be spread around here, there and everywhere. If you're going to share it with someone, share it with a neighbor. I don't mind that as long as it's not every single World Cup.
True.
I think half the problem with it is obviously with more teams, you're going to need more stadiums, of course, as well.
True.
And there's only a select few amount of countries that can do it. So to an extent, you're going to have to share eventually. But FIFA's stadium regulations are a bit of a pain in the backside too. That doesn't help when you're asking for 16 40,000 seater stadiums. It's unrealistic to expect any country on their own to do that. I think with an expanded World Cup as well, you'll find when it's moved to a country that doesn't have a population of 380 million people, you don't need 16 40,000 seater stadiums. You can start putting games in maybe anything 25 and up. And that's not much more realistic number for a lot of countries. And I think if FIFA bite the bullet and go, you know what, we don't need grand stadiums. We can have it at maybe 1 or 2 local grounds and it will still be okay.
Yeah.
You bite the bullet and you do that, you're going to be able to still spread the World Cup to a lot of other nations that would usually host it with a 32-team tournament. And it's going to be within their scope to be able to do, because if you ask people to build 16 stadiums, the only country that I think can do that is Saudi Arabia. And otherwise, you're going to end up in a position where USA, Saudi Arabia, and 5 European nations just rotate hosting it. No one else can do it.
Are we going to end up with the World Cup in 2038 will just be Europe?
Well, 2038 apparently is going back to America. It's they're the only country that can host it.
Wow, can't wait for that one. Playing at Disneyland.
I wouldn't mind a whole Europe, do a little Europe crawl. I'd do that.
I did it for the 2020 Euro, and it didn't turn out too bad. It's it'll be interesting, but obviously no automatic qualifier as well. And who gets the final?
Well, exactly. Well,
I know what you'd say, Marty. You'd put it at Wembley.
Mate, it's not even a question. Actually, you could go to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Actually, it's probably one of the best stadiums in Europe as well. And you probably couldn't have it in Italy either, because they hate us now, so they're not going to even be part of that either. Mel definitely won't be able to get into Italy if it goes across to Europe. We'll stick with you, Mel, too, because you're wearing the shirt, the Socceroos. A great result. Now, let me get this right. Is it now Turkia? Is that how it's pronounced properly now?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you say it, Cody?
Turkia.
I was saying Turkia, right?
Oh, that sounds a lot better than me. I'm still saying it with an Aussie accent.
Turkia. Yeah, I don't know about Turkia. I think it's sort of a little bit more meshed with the 2 syllables, but anyway, that's how I'll say it.
No, mate. I can't even do my old English accent. I've got nothing else now. I just shut up and just do this one. The game. Just out of what was your thoughts?
I thought it was amazing. I think what made it more amazing is that I don't think many people were expecting what was delivered.
True.
Going into those matches, it was a very different style, wasn't it? We played very defensive, if you like, a little bit boring, if you want to call it that. Look, in the actual game, the defense was amazing. It just stood up to everything that was thrown at us. Yep. And that impressed a lot of people. However, the execution of those 2 goals to me was superb. And I think that's what added, the icing to the cake there, because that's what I feel Australia and the Socceroos has lacked for many years. We haven't had a Harry Kewell or a Tim Cahill, since they've gone in terms of attack. But the way that Irankunda and Metcalf just delivered it so perfectly, and the assist by Paulo Con Jr. It was beautiful. We did exactly what we needed to do. We didn't play boring. It's phenomenal. The way that it's got the country talking, people saying, I never really was into football before. Now, big fan. It's amazing. That's what we wanted. We didn't want to just park the bus the most of the game, and we didn't. But we stood up defensively, and we did it to such a bloody high standard when it was required.
Absolutely. No, we didn't park the bus. We just threw it on the beach. Go work that one out, kids. Cody, your thoughts too. Now, let's be fair that, selection-wise before the game, there was, Matty Ryan and, just talk about Patrick Beach. There's a bit of, what's he doing kind of stuff going on before that game. What was your thought pre-game? And then how were you going during it? Like, the guy's a genius now.
So I was working during the game actually, which does sound a little bit un-Australian, unfortunately.
I saw that, Cody. I'm like, what are they doing? Nobody should have been playing at that time. But continue.
Look, unfortunately, that's a decision that made by people that get paid a lot more than what I do. But it is my own fault. I volunteered for the shift without realizing the date. So this one is completely on me.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I saw the lineup. I think it was just before I left the house for the game. No, the lineup come through. A mate of mine sends me a message going, "Beach is starting," and I looked at him. And I'm like, "Footmob's got it wrong. It's not legit. They've put a predicted lineup and they screwed up definitively." And then I saw the Instagram post and that it was actually legit and that Irvine wasn't playing either. And I'm sitting there, and my first thought was, "Okay, I don't mind working now because this is gonna be horrible."
Yeah,
I'm there. I'm talking to people from MacArthur, and I'm like, "What the hell's going on? What decisions he's made?" I was talking to my mum on the way, and I'm like, Tony Popovich is either going to look like a genius or he's going to look like an idiot.
Absolutely.
Lo and behold, looks like a genius now, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I rang my mum after I finished work, and I'm like, I think we all owe Tony Popovich a very big apology. And to an extent, I shouldn't be surprised because it's Tony Popovich to a T. This is how he won the Champions League. He won by being a side that's very difficult to break down and being astute in what he wants and having confidence in his decisions and to make big calls. I remember for a lot of his Champions League campaign, they had Vitor Saba, a brilliant midfielder who really could be pulling the strings for Wanderers. And a lot of the times he wasn't getting played because Popovich had faith in other players. So, Popovich, time and time again, has a knack for proving people wrong.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he does it again on Saturday morning because I would love nothing more than to beat the USA. Hopefully lightning strikes twice, but I can only echo your sentiments, Mel, because it was a brilliant performance. It was exactly what we want to see from the Socceroos, and it unites the country. This is every 4 years we see Australia at its most united, and it's beautiful that it's happening because of our game.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing I'm just going to add there. So everyone was surprised with the whole Maddie Ryan thing. Can I tell you, I was not. So before the World Cup, I was saying why Joe Gauchi, why was Joe Gauchi not there? And I understand. I think he's just been lack of game time. If you ask me,
he's played in League One though, so he's had game time.
Okay. Well, if you ask me, and I think I put this up on X, I said, why has Joe Gauchi missed out? I would have had him there. Yeah. And so when I saw Patrick Beach, I was surprised purely for the lack of experience, I suppose, in those big games. But he's a freak of a goalkeeper, and we've seen that in the A-Leagues. And all those people that only watch the World Cup, you need to watch the A-Leagues because Patrick Beach performs like that in the A-Leagues because he does. So for me, I was at first I was like, okay, that's a very big gamble, and that's where I maybe would have had Joe Gauchi as a happy medium. Yeah. But wasn't over. I like Matty Ryan, and he's still great. There's nothing to take away from him. But in terms of freakish, ability and the really big moves, I was not overly or disappointed or what's he doing, and I was so pleased to see that he started Aaron Kunda because I wasn't expecting that. I thought that he'd bring him on early in the second half, so we'd change the tactic up completely, and he didn't do that. So I was pleased. On that, one thing I want to ask both of you. Aaron Kunda, he's 20 years old. Is that correct? We know he's gun of a player. So there's this whole talk of him getting exhausted. I want to know why. He's young. He's quite athletic. So Popovich pulled him, I think, at the 60th minute. And then there's talk that perhaps next game he won't start because of a fatigue issue. What's the go there? I don't know. That's why I'm asking both of you. I wouldn't expect that. There are players that are older than him that are staying on 90 minutes. And so
that's an interesting one. I think Aaron Kunda is one of those players that they work best when they're at peak fitness. You play 90 minutes. Eventually, you're going to fatigue, no matter how young or fit you are. So I guess it's just a matter of Popovich when he wants Aaron Kunda, I guess, at his best, at peak physicality. For a player like him, I remember when he was in the A-League and there was a journalist that actually asked the Adelaide's manager or someone in Adelaide, is Aaron Kunda just going to be a career bench player and be one of those players that just forever comes in and impacts games? And I thought that was highly disrespectful because, this is a young talent. Eventually, once he gets beyond 17, 18, he's a starting player, and there will come a time where he can do it for 90 minutes. Maybe he's not there yet. 20, as much as you're young and you're fit, to play a lot of minutes at a young age is still probably detrimental down the track. So it might be a thing of being maybe risk averse. But saying that, if a game calls for him to be on for 90 minutes, I don't think there should be a reason why we don't. I can see why he's taken off a little bit earlier against Turkey, but I guess we're up 1-0. It's about being a bit conservative. But if we're still chasing the game, I wouldn't be pulling him off because he's only young.
No.
He's only going to get through so many minutes. You use him as you need to use him. The reality is he's at least one of our top 5 players.
Yep.
And I think that's even being conservative because I think a lot of people now would be saying he's outright number one.
So what do you think, Marty? Like, what's your thoughts? And I'm surprised at that reason. A lot of people are talking about his fatigue, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
20 is at the peak of his game.
It could be. We don't know. There could be underlying conditions too. We don't know. There could be a number of things physically that would be that case. But I know even when I've played it, well, nowadays I get fatigued after 5 minutes, so I can understand what fatigue can do to a body. But you'd think that someone of that age and in that bracket would, even without game time, the amount of training and you'd think there would be a level of fitness that you'd be able to get through a game. So I don't know. And to me, it's going to be something that I would imagine would take away from a potential value, because a club who is going to look at, we're talking in the next 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, is going to look at a player who can, be a great impact, but we can't ever get 90 minutes off them. And if we can't get 90 minutes from a player, geez, we're taking a bit of a risk because of other injuries and stuff like that. So I don't know. It could be an underlying thing. I haven't heard of anything that it could be. I wouldn't imagine it could be a mental thing. I don't really know, but it is quite, because when you look at him, he looks like the fittest player out there too.
That's what I'm saying.
When they line up, he looks the fittest.
That's probably because they tell him run yourself ragged for 60 minutes and we'll give you a breather as well. Look, with Watford, I know he was hitting 80 minutes regularly, and now with the 5 subs rule, usually you're replacing your whole front line with a new one,
which is true.
From the back
and
end of the game.
He was up there in terms of the top players for speed, but he wasn't even the first. Who was the first? Who's the fastest in the whole World Cup? Was someone in the Socceroos? I can't.
Might have even been Italiano.
Sorry, yeah, that's it. Yeah, Italiano, right? So Italiano is the fastest in the entire World Cup. He's ours. He's Socceroo. And I think Kunda was 5th or 6th, which, okay, like that's still pretty fast. But that's not so how many minutes did Italiano play the other day? Did he play the whole game?
I think he might have got through a full 90. Let me double check.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I'm with you, Marty. I'm wondering if there's something underlying that perhaps we don't know, because he just seems very strange to me.
It's got to be.
Italiano got 75.
75, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised he's I thought Harry Kane would have been the fastest. But anyway, that's just me.
If I get an exclusive with Tony Popovich, I'll ask him.
Can you do that? And then let us know too, so we can figure this stuff out. 2 quick questions for both of you guys. I want to know, Cody, I'm going to start with you. What will the result be against the US? And will Australia get out of the group?
Do you want me to answer with my head or my heart?
Both.
Whatever overall. I'll go my head. Before the World Cup, I would have said we win this game 3-2. We go down 2-0 half time. I was hoping Aaron Kunda actually comes in for the second half and scores a hat-trick, but the way we started, the fact that the US are now going to be on their toes against us and Aaron Kunda may be in there from the get-go, I'm actually kind of leaning towards a draw. 2-2 draw, high scoring, high intensity. My heart says 5-0. We win. It's not that I want to beat them. I want to demolish them and I want them to be embarrassed.
Okay.
I have never wanted to win a game of football more in my life. And we've played around a 16 match only 4 years ago.
Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
There's sorry, you asked about the winner as well for the tournament?
Not yet. We'll hold that one. Hold that one back.
No, I thought you had 2 questions in there.
No. I did. Or are we going to get out the group?
Yeah, in terms of World Cup prediction, you know me, I love a prediction, especially in the A-Leagues.
Sure.
I cannot predict a World Cup result. I just cannot. It's too difficult in a tournament where we only perform once every 4 years.
Yep.
And also our opponents are very different. Okay, so we, qualify through the Asian Confederation? Is that correct? Yeah. And then we're meeting USA and European opponents. How do you even go there? I can't even go there. I don't even know what's going to happen, honestly. Will we get out of the group stage? I'm really before the tournament. I actually was saying I don't even know if that's going to happen. I'm quite confident now. Yes, that I think that 2-0 win. I would have been happy with a draw on Sunday, but the fact that we won convincingly 2-0. Yes, I am confident that we will get out of the group stage.
Right, come on. Picking results for the World Cup is easy, no?
If you're talking about the group stage as well, I think personally I've always been confident purely because there's options for third place teams to get out of the group as well.
A lot of them.
But you look at our group, Tokyo USA are good, but I don't think we're losing to both of them. I would have thought maybe we'd have to cop a loss to one of them. And then you got Paraguay, who the talk around them is just purely how good they are defensively, how tough they are to break down.
Yep.
And then they've got a couple of good players going forward. But what do people say about Australia? We're really good defensively. We're tough to break down. We've got good players going forward. They've got a slightly better front line to what we do. Almiron obviously is a big name, and Kiso, very, very good player.
Yep.
We've got a better backline than them. We've got a much better backline than them.
Yep.
So they're.
But our backline, but Cody, our backline really has not been the issue. I don't think Socceroos. It's more our attack, right? So it depends what our forwards can do. Ocon Jr. killed it in midfield, which was so beautiful to see for a youngster. But it's like I said, we've had issues executing, right? Scoring goals.
So look how we did against Turkey. So
and that's what I'm saying. Like if we can pick up where we left off, I think personally we're capable of a draw. Some sort like a point. I don't know if we're going to beat the USA. I think they're the highest ranked in our group, right? So not 100% sure. I hope I'm wrong. I don't know if we'll beat the US. For me, if we got a draw or a narrow win, I'd be super happy with that. But I don't think even a loss to the USA, given how I mean they're ranked quite a bit higher than us. I don't think they'd be ashamed in a narrow loss to that.
Oh, and I think too. I mean, you're definitely right about Paul Ocon Jr. as well. I mean, he just needs to go and play for a decent club. That's all he needs to do. But he was absolutely.
You've got a Sydney FC match. I'm not going on this show anymore.
There's the Italians and also now the Sydney FC fans who've just switched off. Sorry, guys. I think I read a stat somewhere that said the other. I think we're 85% chance now of getting through the group, which I don't know how they work out. That sort of stuff.
I'm not surprised. Looking at how Paraguay played against the USA, they weren't good. No. And like I said, I think if you match us up man for man, Paraguay's definitely a good side. They've got good players, but I do think we can edge them out. Yeah,
I'm not worried about that. I think if Australia gets a point against US, I think that'll probably be enough to go through, even in the top two, maybe even as the third. But they're being coached by a former Tottenham manager, so we probably will beat them 5-0 because the way Tottenham's going at the moment.
Is it Pochettino who's the US coach?
Absolutely, the Poch.
Wow, that's impressive. That is truly impressive.
Depends which way you look at it.
Well, you want to hear impressive? You see who's coaching Uzbekistan? Who's coaching Uzbekistan? Fabio Cannavaro.
He was my favorite Italian player, favorite looking Italian player.
He's coaching Uzbekistan. They made their World Cup debut this morning.
There you go.
There you go.
What a wealth of knowledge you are, Mr. O'Deja. Loving it. I told you, nothing common about this common football fan. All right, we'll quickly touch on England because obviously it's coming home. They're going to win the World Cup now. Did you guys see the game this morning? I thought personally it should have been a lot more. I thought Croatia probably a little bit disappointing. Probably ran out of legs too. They're an older side now, and I think there's a bit of a change going on there. But tell me your thoughts, Cody. Start with you. Did you watch the game and see any highlights?
Yeah,
what did you think?
I did see it. I'm actually not surprised with the result. I thought maybe a draw or England gets on top of them. England do traditionally in big tournaments, especially World Cup, struggle against big nations. So I thought there might have been a draw waiting, but I'm not surprised we're starting to see Croatia fall off a little bit. Yeah, I think next couple of years we'll start seeing them going through a transition phase, but I think this will be the tournament where that we start to see them kind of fall off a little bit. They've been due a bad tournament for a while, but add that with the fact that they do have an aging squad. I'm not surprised England got over them. And I think a result like this means it's coming home, unfortunately, Marty.
Absolutely. It's coming home. Mel?
I was expecting a draw this morning, to be honest with you. I thought it'd be a little bit more even. I just, Croatia have impressed the last few World Cups, but what Cody's saying, I suppose, the squad is a little bit aging now. And look, let's be honest, right up until the end of the first half, right, it was pretty even. It was 1-for-1. Absolute banger of a goal by the Croatian player, that second one. It was good. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I fell asleep at the 60th minute and I missed Marcus Rashford's goal, but I heard it was good.
It was a nice goal. I was watching on my way to work. I was lucky I was able to, I think he scored just as I pulled in as well, which was nice.
Lovely.
So it was good timing for me. It would have finished.
My thoughts with England, I said this to you, Marty, off air a few days ago. I think that England has the players to win it this year. They generally always do, though. But for me, the fact that Arsenal, firing last season, Man United, all their players are back up there. So I think Definitely. I think they're at a time where they can utilize their play. And we saw Harry Kane again demolished this morning. You know, he's just a freak of a player.
Absolutely.
For me, I don't know about the coach. I'm not sure about this coach. It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on it. Don't know about Thomas Tuchel, if that's how you say it, from Germany, I think.
Thomas Tuchel, yep.
What are your thoughts there?
I think for that squad, I think he is close to being the perfect manager. I don't think he cares about reputation. I don't think he cares who you're playing for. He knows the style. He knows who he wants. There's players who didn't go to the World Cup who everyone was on their list to go. You know, Kyle Palmer and a whole range of different players that just didn't go on that trip. He picks who he needs. The strength he's got off the bench suits that team perfectly. There was a fair bit of long ball in there, which is, I guess, very un-England, but it just turned Croatia around. And you knew if he ran them ragged that he was going to run over the top in the second half, and that's exactly what they did. Tactically, I think he knows exactly what he wants. And, he doesn't care who is your name, your reputation, who you're playing for, what salary you are on. He knows who he wants. He knows who can do what. And I just thought that England looked stronger. Take away the Croatian component to it, but I thought England just looked stronger. The more that game went on, the more in control, the more fluid. I do throw the whole "it's coming home" and all that sort of stuff around a fair bit, but I genuinely think out of all the games I've seen so far, which will be now my prediction because I'll do my prediction first, I think England have probably been the most impressive out of everybody. And get that trophy cabinet open up at Wembley because it's going to need a bit of a dusting, and there's going to be a World Cup there soon. So that's my prediction.
And just on that as well, and again, Marcus Rashford's experience, at Barcelona, right? He's always loved him. He's been a phenomenal player. But that experience as well in that league, I think that is also going to be to England's advantage. Yeah.
And Declan Rice in the middle of the park. He plays that part. It's like Tuchel it's like a jigsaw. He needs this bit, this bit, this bit. You're the best in there. You're the best in there. Yeah, there's players on bigger salaries, bigger reputations. They're watching on the TV because they're not the best in the specific spots that he wants. And I think that's where England has missed in previous times. I think there's been name players that we've thrown in there. Oh, he's got to play, and they just haven't performed. And I think this year there's a squad there that's been assembled that it's working. So could be totally wrong. Could lose their next game 3-0 and 3-0 and be out. And everyone will go, Marty, what are you talking about? But at the moment, from what I'm looking at, I think they're looking. pretty strong. So, your predictions, guys. Cody, I'm going to start with you. Who's going to win the World Cup?
I don't disagree with what you said about England. Out of the first round games, probably looked one of the strongest sides. My question is, do they have the bottle to go the whole way through? My prediction before the tournament would have been Brazil. I said a couple of weeks ago on a podcast I was leaning towards Portugal. It was a friendly they played against Chile, and the way they reacted when things weren't going their way turned me off them completely. But Brazil, they've probably got a more balanced squad than what people realise, although I'm not sure if Igor Thiago is the right man to lead the front line. But I think as they work their way into the tournament, particularly in the heat, they'll be a tough team to beat. And I think eventually they'll come out on top. It wasn't a good opening game, but I'm still leaning towards them just based on overall quality, the conditions they're playing in. And even the path they take, I think that they'll when they go up into a big game, they'll be tough to beat.
Yeah. Okay. Before I ask for your prediction, Mel, I've got to ask you guys a question because I threw this out the other week. Who has the most iconic international World Cup strip? Argentina or Brazil? Cody, you answer first, then I'll go to you, Mel, and then you can do your prediction. So just out of Brazil and Argentina, what's the most iconic?
Brazil. I'd probably lean towards Brazil. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just there's many jerseys they won a World Cup in. It's
true.
Another level.
Didn't use their hand to do it either. But not that I'm bitter. Mel, who's going to win the one?
Not sure.
Do the Brazil, Argentina first, and then give me a winner.
Yeah, I don't know. Like in terms of nicest favorite, I always love the German jerseys. I think Germany, just like beautiful, class. Yeah. But iconic. I don't know. Like, for me, they're almost equal. I don't know. I'm thinking the stripes, Argentina stands out a little bit more. And it's also maybe because I'm a little bit anti-Brazilian jersey because, the green and gold belongs to us, okay?
So you're going to make the statement on the show that Brazil need to back down from that green and gold because it's an Australian shirt.
Exactly.
Wow. So there goes the Brazilian audience, the Italian audience, the Sydney FC audience, and everyone else. Yeah. Who's going to win the war? Now, remember, Mel, now you're going to be on the show again next week because we're going to do this again next week. Mel, you're already going to be here. So be careful what you say because you might have to change it next week. Who's going to win the World Cup?
Sorry, who beat Curacao? Was it Germany?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Marty, look, I love England as much as the next person, okay? England, my second team, and Netherlands. I would love to see England win the World Cup. I think it's a very bold statement from you, though. Look, they haven't won it in 6 years. That's very difficult to believe in itself. That very underachieved. I don't know if they're the best team that I've seen so far. Like I said, and I understand again the opponents, but for me, Germany looked very good. And like you honestly, you believe that England looked better than Argentina?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, when I look at these first games that have been played, I just kind of go, is Argentina going to do the whole back-to-back thing? I didn't really think much about Brazil. Like I'm indifferent to that. I'm not sure either way. I'm not saying they won't. But for me,
I'll say it on record here. Argentina started well. Jordan beat Argentina.
Yeah, but look, but what about the last World Cup, right? Argentina, like they lost.
Saudi Arabia went on to win it, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, and the way that freaking Messi is firing like insane. I don't know. But I hope I'm wrong, Marty. I'm England all the way. So after Australia.
Good. After Australia. Okay.
Yes.
So the Socceroos beat England 1-0 in the final. Okay. I'm writing that one down. And
England will score it. Yep.
In the 90th minute after playing 90. There you go. Puts a bow on that whole show. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. As I said, Mel, you're going to be coming on next week. Cody, we'll get you on again in a couple of weeks' time just to update and totally change all our predictions and everything that we've probably said tonight, which has been a lot of fun. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, guys. Awesome. Enjoy for the next week or so. We'll till we catch up again.
Till we catch up again soon. Bye.
Welcome to be on the